Great day, family. Thank you for tuning in to the Community Nonprofit Network Podcast, aka the CNN Podcast, where your nonprofit shines. Today is an awesome episode. We have been lately in our episodes, we have been speaking about internships in one way or another. And so it dawned on me, well, why don't you bring on the awesome interns that are working with Life Changers, my nonprofit organization. So that's what we're going to do today. So please let me introduce Samantha Howard, aka Sam.
Hi.
And then we have Mackenzie Thorson.
Hi.
Then we have somewhat of a repeat guest because Rashia is not new to you guys. She is my Ace Boon Coon volunteer, been with Life Changers, and, well, she's been with me since before Life Changers was a thing. Rashia Van den Ende.
Hi, guys.
So we're going to simply talk internship, all day internship. What do we do? Why do we do it? Who do we work with? And I thought it would be a pretty good idea to go from speaking with other nonprofit and community organizations about their internships and how we put them together and how they're set up, to going to the other side of the aisle to the actual interns and the ones who manage the internship program itself, just to help you nonprofit founders and executive directors who are looking to put together your own internship. You know, hopefully we inspired you to do something to get some help in. But like I always say, you have to focus on making it a win-win situation, whether they're interns, volunteers, or community service workers. So let's get into it. So first, we're going to go to Sam. Sam, please explain to our listeners, first of all, why were you looking for an internship? For two, what were you looking to get out of the internship? And for three, what were you in school for? You don't have to do it in that order, but just cover those bases, please.
Okay, let's see if I can remember all those questions. Well, it started out for me, like, I just wanted to build my resume, honestly, and I didn't really think anything past that. I was like, this would be good. And Life Changers specifically reached me just because I volunteered at a prison a while ago, and I had the privilege of, like, getting to know some inmates and seeing what they go through, and how they plan to reintegrate their lives with the society outside of prison. So it really just, like, felt like something that I was somewhat familiar with and also could bring something to and learn more about. Now that I'm in the internship, I'm realizing how many skills I have accumulated, like, through it, even though my original reason for joining it was strictly for my resume. But I think it has helped me a lot to, like, learn how to reach out to people that I don't know and, like, my community, and be able to just learn how to find the people I need to find to talk to, because it's actually a little more tricky than you think, like, finding the right people to discuss things with and, like, get information from. But I do think it's helped with my, like, people skills a lot. I just graduated with my bachelor's from Eastern Washington University. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. I got a minor in Spanish as well. And now I am applying to grad schools. I am looking to go into school psychology. I'm hoping to work with teenagers who have, like, extra issues, whether that means at home or, like, they just need extra attention for their mental health. But I do think, like, all areas of psychology are important. So even though it's not, Life Changers isn't the specific type of psychology I'm going into, I think it's still, very helpful to know about. And, I think that will help me just in my future career as well. So yeah, I'm eager to get started on my master's and even more eager to be done with it. But yeah, so I am just in the process of, like, looking at different schools, trying to figure out where I want to end up. And yeah, this is just part of the process.
So, okay, you touched on it, so let's go a little deeper. What is your assignment? Okay, first let me just put this out there. Life Changers internship is LIT internship program. LIT is our brand. Life Changers in Training is what it stands for. So, LIT internship program is a 10-week program with a minimum of 10 hours per week. And you're given various we are regular business, so you're given regular business assignments. You are given assignments that need to be completed by someone, whether it's a volunteer, intern, or community service worker. So Sam, what is the assignment you've been working on?
I am in charge of getting the word out about our virtual employment skills workshop, which is free. I am reaching out to different schools, high schools, colleges, finding the appropriate person to talk to give information to, and sharing that with them in hopes of getting a bigger group of people to come to the employment workshop.
Very good. And you are doing a great job. Thank you. Name 3 skills that you have picked up that you didn't have when you came to us. Or even if you didn't pick them up, if they're sharpened. I know you mentioned one.
Yeah.
Was, what did you say a minute ago? Like people skills?
Yeah, definitely. Like my communication skills. 'Cause I mean, I'm not bad at talking to people, but transitioning like into being an adult, it's a different type of communication, like in the work world, versus just like being able to talk to people on a personal level. So I'm definitely learning like, I guess more professionalism.
And also, great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I think it'll make it an easier transition when I am like in the work world. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the point. That's definitely the point. She said transitioning into an adult.
Yeah.
That's
also,
too funny.
Probably just like attention to detail, because I mean, I'm on all of these web pages, college pages, high school pages, looking for the person to talk to, and it's honestly in places that I never would look. Like I would never know where to look. So it's honestly taught me just like how to pay more attention to detail and be more thorough, I guess.
And I think that would be pretty awesome, and useful, especially when you're working with kids, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Probably also time management. I wouldn't say I was bad at it before, but I do think it has sharpened that skill for me. Just because like we have 10 hours a week and we're required to do 10 hours a week, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I am getting as much in those hours as I can, to make, the biggest change I can, I guess, or be the most helpful I can in my assignment. So yeah, it's just helped me to, I guess, like stay focused on what I need to be doing. And yeah.
I'm glad to hear about the time management, Sam, because I know when you came to us, you were working and still in school and took this on. So that was a lot. And yes, I was going to mention congratulations, that Sam graduated with her bachelor's and is, decided not to take that time off.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not taking time off.
I'm glad me and your dad tag teamed you on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Alrighty, next we have Mackenzie Thorson, who also has a plate full, and is still in school. So take it away, Mackenzie. Please share with our listeners why, because you actually were the one who came to Life Changers first and referred Sam to us. So what even drew you to us? What drew you to an internship period? And what were your expectations? And what is your goal for after?
So the funny thing is I was not looking for an internship. I found you guys through LinkedIn, and I was looking to volunteer. And you are the one who, Erica's the one who told me that since I'm in college, it could actually be an internship that would look good on my resume and all the things, because I was looking to volunteer in something similar to this. And that's when she told me about the internship, I decided that was a great idea for what I'm currently going for. So it wasn't the internship that I wasn't looking to get anything out of it, but now it's just a bonus, because I was coming here because they also do like Life Changers offers, things for volunteers, for interns, and then like you said, for service hours as well. For me, I'm graduating in April with, a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in criminal justice.
Yay!
So Life Changers definitely, goes right into my interested field. And also one of the biggest things is being a single mom. It was nice finding something that I can kind of have for myself, if that makes sense. So being able to volunteer or do an internship to like kind of get my goals started. Because as all the other parents know, like when you have kids, you put them first. And so the things that you want to do with your life kind of fall behind a little bit. And so now that I'm back on, so now that I'm back on track, I am able, like I found you guys, and so that definitely helps. But also like something that I've learned with this internship is honestly about the topic. Like I didn't know much about like prison reform or anything before I started working, or I guess volunteering or interning here. So that was kind of cool to learn something more like that has to do in regards to criminal justice, but it's just kind of a different side to it, because they don't teach that very much in colleges. They don't teach the other side of it. They teach the criminal justice, like the laws and the stuff like that, but they don't teach about what to do when you're just getting out of prison and how hard it is to kind of integrate back into society. So that was cool to be able to learn about that side of it. And so me personally, since this is a nonprofit, I kind of go and find like community grants to help with put on these workshops and put on these things that we can offer to people and resources and stuff like that. So with that, I'm the one contacting like the big companies, like trying to apply for the community grants in hopes to kind of get some funding through that way. So I go through all the applications and I'm the one who signs all those up. When I first started, I was doing like the blog side of Life Changers. So on our website, we have a tab where you can go read our blogs, and each week we talk about something different. So at first when I was started, I was editing and posting all of those. And then my assignment changed after a few weeks to doing blog posts, and overall, it's been a great experience, and I think that it is going to build my resume up. And I do want to go in the fall to get my master's in forensic science or forensic psychology. And so I like being able to find like the psychology side of the criminal justice, if that makes sense. Like the intersection between psychology and criminal justice is really interesting. So that's kind of what I like to say that I bring to Life Changers, even though it's kind of already here, but I'm saying like the psychology side of it is very interesting to me. So it's nice being able to volunteer and intern with something that has to do with my field that I want to go into.
Well, there is a lot to do with psychology and criminology and criminal justice, and Sam, you're going to learn. Unfortunately, they look at last I knew anyway. Last I heard, they look at 4th grade boys to know how many prisons they're going to need, which is almost
really,
it'll tick you off. And I'm going to remember that I am a saved person over here. But yeah, when I first heard that, and that's why I say maybe they use 5th grade now. I don't know, but I know for the longest it was 4th grade was the study that they carried out every year to see how many boys, what the algorithm, the formula or whatever, I don't know. But I know they look at black and brown boys. They look at behavioral issues and so forth and so on. I used to volunteer years ago when my son was in 3rd grade, so 25 years ago. And it was through Georgia Department of Human Resources, DHR, and it was the FAST program, Families and Schools Together, which was for behavior issue kids. And I got referred to it because my son was a behavior issue. And but it was such a great program that I said, well, I want to volunteer. I was a parent liaison. And I see why DHR focused on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, because those are some formative years that you really got to buckle down on, these kids' behaviors. They're influenced by TV and, what they see out in the neighborhood, what they see in their household. So it'll be interesting, Sam, to hear from you in about 10, 15 years of, oh my gosh, these kids, I see why they wind up in your program. So,
That's
unfortunately,
interesting.
it is. But you are a game changer. You are a change agent. You're a change agent. So to make that your goal, and when you're working on your masters, and hopefully you'll be able to finagle that. So next we have Rashia. Rashia is our kind of like our den mother for the internship program. She manages everything. I hand out the assignments to our interns, and Rashia follows up. Rashia handles everything. I'll let her tell you what she does. So, Rashia, please explain what makes for a successful internship program that creates a win-win. So you get feedback like we're hearing now, like we hear during our weekly meetings, like we hear during, all throughout and even afterward. So take it away, please.
Okay, so first off, I'm not only just, the den mother for the interns. I also do everything communications with
Yes.
Life Changers. So just about any and everybody who comes through Life Changers in some sort of way, I'm involved. But with the interns especially, any questions that they have, any concerns, every meeting that they have, it's one of those things that it's not imperative, but it's very important that I'm there to hear the things that they're saying, to hear the things that they're feeling about everything. And like Erica says, the getting that feedback for us is very important. So for me, when I hear the feedback, we can, talk about adjusting what we need to adjust as far as should there be more meetings, should there be more involvement on our end, are we not explaining things the way that we need to explain them? Are there other resources or other things that we could be looking for to be able to help these young folks as far as their internship goes? A lot of the people who come to us to do internships are in school. And so, like Mackenzie and Sam said, they're, it's not always something that is required. It's something that, maybe they just want to do for it to look good, on their resume or what have you. But, it's just one of those things where, they come to us with the expectation of, this is what I want to do. This is, something that I want to pursue. And it's not like, okay, well, I'm volunteering just, out of the goodness of my heart all the time. But sometimes it is, like in this case. And basically, hearing their feedback gives us the ability to know that either we're doing something good or like we really need a big change.
Right.
And not to say that I don't think any of the feedback has been negative so far that we've heard from any of our interns. I think the only one thing that we've ever heard that was like, hey, we should have more meetings.
Right.
It was like, you should have more meetings more often. And it was like, well, why didn't you ask the question? You have our email, but for me, as like the den mother for them, I've opened myself up to where, I have the emails coming to my phone. I have, my phone number is in the email signature so that they have the opportunity to contact me at any time if they have a question. And not to say that, I'm 24/7 available, but I've made it so that the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, it's there, it's like, right. Hey, so-and-so sent you an email. This is important. And if it's for Life Changers, I'm like, yep, I got to get to it.
Exactly. So now, what would be your number one tip for, and sticking with Rashia, what would be your number one tip for another nonprofit organization who is thinking of putting together, because I've spoken about internships before, but maybe I've missed something. So you just come in fresh, out the box with your idea of what would make for a good internship. If nothing else, make sure you do what?
I would say, if nothing else, make sure that you have somebody that is dedicated to taking on this.
Yes.
As far as the process. Because not only is it, a lot of time away from Andy and everything else that you have to do, it's also knowing, what to, basically like knowing how to answer the questions,
right.
Knowing how to talk to people, knowing when to give the reply that you need to give at the right time. Right. Just basically also making sure that you're available for people, because if you don't have the ability to answer in a timely manner and you're not dedicated to it, you're not going to give, the feedback that you need to these interns. You're not going to say, oh, well, this is great, maybe we should change one thing, or, things like that. You're going to take your time with it, and some of this stuff needs to be done right away. So if you're not dedicated to it and you don't have the, I guess, like the time and the mental to be able to just sit down and just like really pay attention, you're going to miss things. And for me, that's one of those things. I make sure that I have the dedicated time, I have the dedicated space, and I always make myself available whenever and wherever I can.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask, and I thank you, and I will say yes. Rashia is our communications organizer, so there are things that she does behind the scenes that Sam and Mackenzie don't see, just as there are things that she does behind the scenes for our community service workers, who she doesn't even know their name until I say, okay, they need a letter of completion and send it over like, oh, okay. But she goes into Clockify and gets their report of their hours. And so, yes, you definitely need someone who can dedicate, who's willing to learn, because neither one of us, we Clockify and, we didn't know about any of that. So it was a learning process. But again, when you're setting up programs, and yes, you need help, but you have to be offering value. It can't just be, oh, I need your help. This is what I need to do. And period. It has to be giving value, and me just being the person I am. Aside from being a life and business coach, I'm going to make sure that someone leaves me better than they came. And I told the ladies that. So now with that being said, I'm going to ask Mackenzie the same question. And it doesn't have to be a reflection on us. It may not even be something that would be relevant to Life Changers. But if you were speaking to another nonprofit founder or executive director, somebody, and they're like, well, we're thinking about putting together an internship program. You've been through one. What would you suggest? What would you say, Mackenzie? Okay, if nothing else, make sure you do this or have this.
So 2 big things right off the bat. Number 1 is our weekly meetings. I do think those are really important, because if you're like me, you're a, kind of like a visual learner. So I can email you and you can explain something to me, but if I hear your voice saying it, I resonated a lot more than I am when I read it. That is the nice thing though, is that you guys are always available over email. So if it is like late, or if I can't call or something, then I can just email and you guys get to me as soon as you can. But it is also nice to have a meeting and just check in with each other every week at least once, because having someone with their voice just explain to me how to do something makes me understand it a lot more than reading it on a screen. But also because it's a lot faster. If I have 5, 6, 7 questions, instead of sending that many emails, you can just answer it within that 5 minutes.
Right.
Another big thing is that when we do our meetings or our emails or anything, you guys always make it a point to check in with us, not only through the internship, but personally as well. You guys say, hey, how has your week been going? Like, how are you doing? How is your family doing? And I think that's important just because it makes your interns feel like they're not just there just for the work, just because you need something from us, just because we need something from you. It's more like you actually care about us as a human and you want to make sure that we're doing okay. Or if we're feeling sick, you guys give us recommendations or things. For me, with you guys having kids who are older than mine, it's nice because you guys, I have a very, very small family, so I don't have a lot of friends my age who have children. So it's nice having you guys who can tell me about things to do with my children or just something like that. And that's a big thing with internships too, as well. It's also should be about the work and what you're doing and what we're getting from it and all those things. It's also good because there's like almost like a human side to it, where you guys are just checking in on us and making sure that we're doing good too. And that is, I think, important with any internship because it makes it more, at least for me, it makes me feel more like, okay, I want to work for you guys. Like I want to, because you guys take the time to check in on me and to check in on Sam and make sure that we're doing okay. So that makes it more, I'm more willing versus if I was working for someone that I didn't really know or didn't really relate to at all, if that makes sense. So those are my two big things with any internship that I think it's important to have.
And I'll say this, I also, and that meeting goes both ways because I want to hear from you in your words, not just read your words, what you're working on, how it's going, what hurdles you're coming up against, okay, you fixed that, you got over that hurdle, I want to hear that from you, but also, because even when you do get out in the real world, which I know you both already work there, but you know what I mean, when you get into school system, Sam, or when you get into, you might go working for government, who knows? And, presentation is a really big thing. And it's that you get that practice, even though, yes, what you're speaking of as far as the family, that's the culture. And I refuse to even entertain any other kind of culture, period, because I know I've been in this workforce for over 40 years and I know the places where I thrived and didn't want to leave. And even if I had to leave, it was because it was more family than, I've worked in local government. I've worked in Fortune 100. I've worked in, small mom and pop. And funny enough, the local government was more family than the mom and pop, but it's all about what culture do you build. And we've been building culture from day one. I don't look at our community service workers as, you're an ex-con. No, dude, hey, this is what I need you to do. This is how I need you to do it. You wouldn't know in our conversations if they're volunteer, intern, or working, but that's, we're about people. We're about people. And again, we're about getting you interns ready for that real world strong, not, there's going to be things you have to learn there, but as far as you having the confidence and the self-esteem and feeling empowered by, okay, I know this. I've already come up against that problem. I know how to get over that hurdle. I know about that, how to present that. So, but the meeting, that goes a long ways. And that meeting is more than just, oh, what are you up to? And that's why it was funny when another intern said, well, I think we should have more meetings. I'm sitting there like, does she not know what my schedule looks like on a weekly thing? Like, no, honey, once a week is enough. But that had me cracking up. Okay, Sam, you're up, doll. So if someone comes to you and says, I started a nonprofit, I need some help, and someone mentioned something about an internship, and I'm not quite sure how to put it together, but what would I even offer them? What would you say? Hey, if nothing else, you need to have this or you need to do this. Go for it.
A couple of things as well. I completely agree with Mackenzie about having like a slight personal relationship. It is a lot more, I guess, like she said, like I'm a lot more willing to do things when I have that, like, I work for someone who's kind and like people who care about my well-being. It also shows like how you guys care for your company, like why you're doing what you're doing, and I think that's really important. It just shows like a very strong moral compass, and that's something for me personally that I want to be surrounded by even in the workplace, which is not always available, you know. So that's super nice to just like work for good people. And yeah, I do feel like you guys care about what's going on with us, you know, like
Y'all know I'm a softie, so okay, let's get off the niceties. I'm about to start crying. Go ahead. Don't cry.
Okay, the work side of it. Well, I feel like communication is the most important thing. I really appreciate how you guys check in, like, no more sappy stuff, but I appreciate
I'm
check
good.
in with like what we're doing, like if we have questions, you know. And I do, this is like a small thing, but I really, really appreciate how often you say that there's no dumb questions, because in an internship, like, and I'm assuming other people would feel this no matter what internship they're in, like it's new to them. There's some things that are confusing, some things you might not know about, and I feel like it would be really intimidating to not be able to ask those questions, like, confidently, you know, so that's really, really helpful for me. It takes the pressure off as well. Like, if I feel like I'm doing something wrong, you would always rather us just ask, you know, and then it's like, oh, okay, like, I figured it out, rather than, like, doing what you're thinking you're supposed to do, hoping for the best, and then finding out you messed up, you know. So I think the communication is huge for me, like, and also just being clear what the expectations are, you know, like when you let us know this is what I need you to do step by step, like that's super helpful. So I guess I would just suggest to anyone who is starting an internship program that communication is like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I'm 40 years in customer, and everything that I've done has always been customer service centered. And I am really big on customer service, so I am very big on communication. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've been a supervisor in management positions since I was a teenager, in every position. And I've always been big on never letting anyone think that they had to guess. I'm very clear on what you need to do, and I'm going to make sure I relay it to you. And that's why the first thing I kept saying was, the only dumb question, but that's a principle. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. You know, so please ask the questions, because I don't want you. I don't want you spending your whole 10 hours this week doing it one way because, I thought that irks me. That makes my skin crawl. Oh, well, I thought you said, no. No. It would be one thing if you say, well, I know what you said, but I thought it would be more efficiently done this way. Hey, I want you to think, but not with, but I thought you meant, no. Don't think about it. I'm telling you. And if you're not clear, but that's a two-way thing, because and that's why I want you to know how to present yourself and what you're doing, your tasks and how you did. I know what you're doing, but I want you to present how you're doing it. I want you to present the hurdles that you came across, and I want you to present how you got over those hurdles, and the different ways you may have had. Hey, we all know, there's a lot of ways to get things done, so you may not have been able to get over it. You may have had to go around it or move just out the way. So I think, communicate. I know communication is definitely first and foremost. And when I was making the program, designing it before we even had our first intern, it was, that meeting was first, and that was number one. Okay. When are we going to have our meetings? We're going to have them on Mondays. Okay. I just think Monday, and Rashida just asked me today, are we keeping them on Tuesdays, or are we going to go back to Mondays after, just to date this episode, listeners, this is the last Tuesday of 2022. And so this will air on the first Wednesday of 2023. Setting it off with girl power. That's what I'm talking about. Stay lit. Stay lit. So, communication is awesome.
One of the best things that you guys have done, for at least for me, is when you're teaching me how to do something, you guys have sent me YouTube videos of the screen recording of you doing it yourself. And that to me is big, just because, I'm in my 20s, so I am pretty tech savvy, but a lot of people don't like to volunteer online because they're not tech savvy. And so being able to have that YouTube video of you guys showing us exactly like a screen recording of your computer and showing us exactly how to do something
Right.
is very nice because it helps me to like learn these websites that we're using way faster, way easier, way better. But even like if it was like somebody like my grandparents or something, like they'd be able to learn that too, just because it's right in front of their face where you guys are showing them. So instead of just leaving us out for our own trying to figure it out, you guys have went in and made those videos for us and been like, hey, this is how you're going to do it when you start to do it. And then now I watched the video once and now I know what I'm doing. So that's definitely been something that I've never had done for me before, like in any other place that I volunteered or even with my schoolwork or anything. No one has ever went out of their way to send me that screen recording. And that is something that I think especially the volunteers, or internships over the internet should have, just because it is so much easier and so much more self-explanatory. And then I have those videos to fall back on if I do forget something.
Right.
So that's really nice. And that's just something I wanted to mention in here because that's one of the best things that I have come across on here. So
well,
far.
I'm glad you appreciate that. And to all of those listening who are, it's because our audience is new nonprofits or community organizations or struggling who may have been in business, 13 years and just kind of hit a plateau. And a lot of it is because of technology, not being able to stay up with it. But, the one thing is if you have a question, and it goes back to that, no such thing as a dumb question, ask the question because in a class there's more than likely somebody else who has that same question, right? Well, if you're asking how to do this, there's more than likely going to be somebody else. So that's why on the Life Changers YouTube channel, we have a playlist of training videos for our team. So a lot of those things, the next, team of interns comes in and they ask that same thing. Hey, hold on a minute. Here's a link. There you go. So yeah, I appreciate, and that, that communication, we can go on. We have a whole podcast in the beginning. That was one of the first things I had to talk about. But, it is, so important both ways in this internship program that you let us know what it is you need, what it is you're lacking, what it is you have a question about, what ideas you have, what input and feedback that you'd like to share, because we're not the end all be all. Yeah, we're the final say. We're board members, but we're the final say. But for one, our average client is going to be your age, okay, coming out of incarceration. And even though you guys don't have records, and if you don't, I don't even want to know. I'm only kidding. But there's just another level of thinking, So, but yeah, that's why we're all in it together, and it's all for one main goal, and that is to serve and serve as best as we possibly can. And so we have coming up very soon for Mackenzie, I know, we have midterm surveys. And I know I had said it the other day, interviews. She was like, no, we don't do it. Okay, I'm sorry. We don't do it. Not that it will never happen, but no, right now we just do midterm surveys. So, Ms. Rashia, would you mind just sharing with our listeners who are thinking about putting together an internship program, why we do midterm surveys and what they should be looking for, please?
So we do midterm surveys. We do also exit interviews and exit surveys. The reason that we do this is because we want to make sure that we, as not just, people who are, coordinating a program, but also as a program in general, like the whole thing, are not only gearing our assignments towards the right things, but also as a feedback for us, as in, are we asking too much? Are we asking too little? Is the time that we're requiring, enough? Is the program helping in any way for the people who are interning with us? It also gives them a chance to give us extra feedback as far as, is there anything that they would like to see in, the program, thus far. In the middle, it kind of is still new, but you're kind of settling in, so to say, where you're kind of used to the things that you're being asked, or that are being asked of you. So you have a gist of what you're doing. You have an idea of, how to schedule your time. So it gives you it gives the interns an opportunity to tell us, hey, look, this isn't working well, or yeah, I love this, and this is, you should keep doing this, but I feel that maybe we should integrate something else.
Right. Exactly. And and you know what? You can't, and I talked about this a couple of episodes ago, you can't tweak what you don't track.
Absolutely.
So, and that doesn't just go for increasing our visits to the website, which is increasing. Yay! Shout out to Ariane. Who's doing a bang up job on our Google ads. I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, on the podcast, but, and that goes not just for online marketing, SEO, SEM and all that good stuff, but it goes for humans. We need to know, again, from you, even though it's a wide open window. Every week you have the chance to say it. But with the midterm survey, it's kind of like our meetings or our quiz that lead up to the test. Or in this case, like the quizzes that lead up to the midterm, and then you'll have more quizzes that lead up to the test. So, and it's a test both ways, because like Rashia said, by now you're settled in, but you're also more comfortable knowing that you can come to us, knowing that if you're given an assignment and said, okay, well, this is how you do it, I'm wide open for, and that feedback, input. Do you see it? Do you know of another way? Maybe you know another free app that would get the job done better. They're coming out every day. So, it's a two-way street, and I really appreciate that. So now I would like to do something interesting, and this is all unscripted. So it makes for interesting, topics. So ladies, I would like to ask, and you have, let's say 3 minutes to answer. If you could start a nonprofit and had all the help and all the funding you needed, what would you do? Let's start with Sam.
Wait, I have 3 minutes to think about it?
You have 3 minutes to answer it. Think on the spot. On the
spot? I don't know.
I have mine if you want me to go.
Go ahead and bail your best friend out. See, that's teamwork. Okay. Okay, Mackenzie, what would you do?
For me, I've actually put a lot of thought into this before. I'm not sure why, but I have. For me personally, since I'm really interested in the intersection of psychology and criminal justice, I think Erica and I have talked a little bit about how there needs to be more kind of just mental health wellness checks on not only inmates but people returning into society, because that's such a culture shock. You'll be in prison for 10, 15, 20 years, and then you come back and you're seeing people all the time, and people are in your personal space, and you're not used to that.
Right.
So for me, I would focus more on the psychology side of it and checking in on their mental health and kind of being a resource specifically for that. Because I know that we offer resources through our Life Changers website. But for my nonprofit, if I had all the funding in the world, I would, first finish getting my degree specifically in forensic psychology, because I do I want to study specifically, I guess you can say, quote unquote, the criminal mind, but also not to part of it is because I want to understand it, but also the other part is because I think that there are ways to help people that we just aren't, seeing, because I think that a lot of the time in this world you do a crime and people are well, go to prison, bye. And they're trying to get rid of it. They're trying to eliminate the threat almost. And so for me personally, I would like to do a nonprofit that would kind of check in on people and focus more on like their mental health, because at the end of the day, we're all human and we all are suffering with, I'm a firm believer that everyone in this world has, I guess you could say, a mental disorder of some sort, no matter who you are, and which I don't even like the word disorder, but that's with lack of better words. But I think that everyone is suffering from something, even if you don't mention it. And that doesn't matter if you have a clean past or a dirty past. At the end of the day, you still need that help from other people. And that's what we were put on this earth to do, is kind of be a light for others. And we can't do that unless we're checking in on our brothers and sisters, if that makes sense. So for me, that's what my nonprofit would focus on, just because, for one, it's something that's interested me. And for two, it's something that I firmly believe in.
That is, and that's why I say you may wind up going government, not necessarily working in or for the government, but maybe contracting to the government, because that's certainly something that prisons, need. Prisons, halfway houses, whatever it is. So that's, yeah. Well, I told you, when you're ready, let me know. I'm here to help, get that started off the ground. Because I know you do want to start some kind of business after your master's.
Yes,
right?
I do. Yep.
Okay. Okay. See, you cheater.
Well, now I wish I went first, because you explained that really well, Mackenzie. I feel like mine is kind of unrelated to Life Changers, but I think mine would have more to do with probably substance abuse in teenagers. That's something I feel really strongly about, and before deciding I was going to do school psychology, I was going to go into substance abuse counseling, and I don't know, I just think that, obviously there are a lot of families who they are raised in an environment like that, and a lot of teenagers get into things like that because of how they're raised, yeah, and it's obviously when you're an adult, it is kind of your responsibility to help yourself, but as a teenager or a kid, it's what are you supposed to do, the people that are supposed to be taking care of you are either in that themselves or have put you in some sort of position that has led you to that, So obviously I don't know the logistics of how it would be at all, but I think it would probably focus on getting help for those teenagers, specifically adolescents, because I think every age needs help with that, but I have a big heart for that age, which is why I'm going into school psychology, but I think that's a big thing that I think it's discussed as young adults a lot. It's a lot of young adults are in rehab and that sort of age, but I don't feel teenagers are necessarily given the help they need, and honestly I feel they should be given more help than anyone. Obviously everyone needs it, but they didn't even put themselves there, it's they're just born into that, and that breaks my heart, honestly. So I think I would do something regarding giving them the resources and services that they need to get out of that and to change their life around while they're still that young,
Yeah, that's definitely, I'll tell you what, that's job security, because unfortunately that's, in my case, and not just my case, it's not unique, unfortunately, but, in my case, substance abuse is what took my father, incarcerated him from the time I was 16. And at 12, drugs entered my life, as far as, smoking weed and drinking and, all that you do in the drug scene. So, but, and I didn't have those, a resource like that. And it is very important. It's, definitely needed, but not readily available. You have those kids who, their parents have psychologists on speed dial, just like they have lawyers on speed dial. And I didn't come from that kind of family. So, I came up in an era and in a family where weed was okay, and, drinking was okay. And it was even though it was something that as a kid you're not supposed to do, and because you're not grown and blah, 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 but but you're a kid watching everybody else smoke, so I started smoking weed, started smoking cigarettes, started drinking at 12. 12 was a pivotal year for me. And, thank God after 37 years, I was delivered from cigarette smoking. I quit weed a long time ago, but it's that both of those, because I've also been, I could have been one of your clients in, the criminal mindset as well, Mackenzie, but you two definitely child criminology, psychology, youth, all of that, get to the root. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with the kids, right, you're dealing with adults, after they've been exposed all these years. And then you're dealing with their kid, trying to get to prevent them, but then it shoots back up to the adults. It's bananas. It's just like this tangled web we weave as a society. So you guys, you two might need to think about going in together. So, okay, last but definitely not least, Rashia, because I know you're actually the reason why I asked this, because Rashia, when we interviewed Rashia made a comment, correct me if I'm wrong. She said, "Oh, I love working with a nonprofit, but I would never start one." So now, what kind of nonprofit would you start if funding and resources were not an obstacle?
Now that I've had time to think about it,
you're a mega cheater.
In all honesty, I would start a nonprofit for people who have gone through the foster care system. Personally, I have been through the foster care system. I was put into foster care at the age of 6, and I was very, very lucky to have been adopted by the family that was my first foster family. Not everybody is that lucky.
Right.
And just because I was adopted by that family does not mean that things did not happen in that family. Having personal experience going through that, and having friends and having met people, throughout my life that have also been adopted, who've gone through that system. My next door neighbors were also a foster family.
Oh, wow.
So I know the goods and bads. My biological siblings have gone through not only the foster care system, but they also went through the group home system side of family services. So I would open up a nonprofit for people who are in that situation where, either they're going through the family services, or they're having, well, I would say going through currently, or where they're on the verge of going through. Because I feel that those people need the resources that family services does not provide.
Right.
There's a lot of things that could help, as far as, like you said, if funding was readily available, if there was no barriers whatsoever, it would be great for people to be able to have, the housing, whether it's the housing or the counseling or the help with getting jobs, transportation, any of it. Because a lot of those things are the reason that people, young kids go to foster care.
Right.
It's not just, I don't want to have my child anymore. In my personal situation, my mother was a recovering drug addict. She couldn't provide for myself, my brother, and then we had a younger sister as well, who was a newborn baby. So I was 6 years old. My brother was 3, and a newborn little sister. And, she needed that help. But because she wasn't, physically and mentally in the right space, she wasn't able to get that help.
Right.
And so not only is it like, the substance abuse, but it was also mental health for her.
Right.
And then, when we were taken from her, we were put into a foster care home. And for us, the things that we were going through in the foster care home were foreign to us.
Mm.
It was to the point, like I said, I was 6 and my brother was 3. So my little brother, for the first probably 6 months of us being in this foster care home, would not talk to anybody but me.
Wow.
When they asked him what he wanted to eat or what he wanted to do, he would whisper it to me, and then I have to tell them.
Wow.
So it's, not just the adjustment, but also for the kids, but it's also, traumatizing for the parents as well. So I feel like that would probably be where my heart and my mind is. It's a big, it's hard to explain. Like, it's a big web of things that would include, because it would be not only, the substance abuse help, but it would also be the mental health help, the transportation, the funds for housing, for any, any of those things that the government can help with, but they don't give out as much as we need.
No. But we're not going there. That's a whole other episode. We are not going there. Why doesn't the government release the money? Let's leave it right there. Well, all three of you may wind up going into some kind of, business or being an extension of Life Changers. Hey, you never do know. We will be, according to Rashia over there, I said it, but I thought it and felt it, but she actually said global. So, not just the podcast, but Life Changers, changing, working on prison reform around the world. So which sounds like a plan to me. So I thank you, ladies. We are at the end of our time together. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will say this is one of my favorite sayings, from the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis. I don't know if y'all old enough to know that, but, Gina Davis's boyfriend in the movie was toasting at a little get together. I think it was for Christmas. And he said, "May the best of your past be the worst of your future." And that has stuck with me ever since, about 10, 15 years later. So, I thank you, Mackenzie, Sam, Rashia, family, listeners. If you would like to be a guest on a future episode, I invite you to visit our website, thecnnpodcast.com. Click the Be a Guest tab. If you would like to advertise, again, visit the website and click the Advertise tab. And I urge you to please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. Please visit us on our YouTube channel and subscribe to that if that is your preferred method of consuming content. And these likes and shares help us to be motivated to continue to show up and show out for you, to help you grow your nonprofit, to be a blessing, to reach, and to work with those who are waiting for whatever it is you are hiding inside, and we want to help you bring it out to the masses. So as always, until next time, be awesome and be blessed.